Hey guys, Blake Vaca Valley Truck. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of fiberglass shells today. A lot of great pros to fiberglass shells, a lot of things to be happy about, and some cons, some things that customers have mentioned that they wish could be better. So we'll jump right into it. First thing to cover with fiberglass shells is obviously, as you can see with this long line of shells here, we've got a paint to match option. So it doesn't matter if your truck's black, blue, green, purple, they'll find the paint code. We'll get the paint code off the door jamb and they'll do their best to match it. Another benefit, if I can get Cameron to come up in here, get a little closer, is these guys have a headliner option. So as you can see, if we look in here, there's carpeted interior all the way around. That's something you can get with fiberglass shells that you typically don't get with the aluminum shells. Some other benefits that you have, I don't necessarily have an option right here, but these guys are all cab height, which means that they're going to match up with the cab. If I get Cam to turn around and zoom in on that guy that's on the top of the rack right there, that is a MX series shell through ARE. It's got a 5-inch rise off the cab, so they have variable heights with the fiberglass shells. They have some that go as high as 8 inches off the cab. That guy's 5 inches, so that's another pro to the fiberglass shells. If we come over here, Cam, another thing that most fiberglass shell manufacturers have is a limited lifetime warranty. This shell was sold to the customer years and years and years ago, but as we can see right here, our clear coat is starting to go. I took some pictures, sent it off to the manufacturer. They said that they're cleared for the RGA, which is just the return agreement. So this is gonna be getting shipped back up to their factory in Ohio, and they're going to re-clear coat, refinish the shell free of charge to the customer. So that's another benefit, is you get a limited lifetime warranty on the finish and workmanship of this shell. Another pro is the lead time, but the time it takes for us to install them. Typically, if you don't have keyless entry, which means it works with your key fob, typically if you don't have keyless entry, we can get these guys on in about 2 hours, 2.5, depending on where we have to route the wiring to. With the steel shells or fiberglass shells, or not fiberglass shells, steel shells or aluminum shells, sometimes we have to assemble them and then install them, so you see an increase in labor cost. There are different options, like I said, as far as heights, but there's also hundreds of different options for customization that you get with a fiberglass shell that you don't necessarily get with a stainless steel shell. So if you look over here, we've got roof tracks that are already manufactured into the roof of the shell. That's for and above the shell racking system. Obviously, as you can see with these other 4 right here, they don't have the roof tracks in, but it's an option that you can get at an additional cost. Now, if we come over here to our Lear shell and we look at the key option right here, that's ready to be wired for keyless entry. That's another option that's, a slight addition, but you can get it to work with your OE key fob. So you click the lock button, your shell back door locks. Click the unlock button, your shell back door unlocks. We've got different types of windows. You can see on the Lear shell right here, it's got a frameless all glass window insert. So there's no frame around it. It looks a little bit more OE versus, the rest of these guys have the aluminum framed half sliding windows. The gist of what I'm getting at, there's a lot of customization options, but that's also a variable price, right? So based on what you want, your price can increase or decrease. All right, 2 quick things to cover about additional pros for these guys. They are on average cheaper than your steel shells that you can get ordered, like a RSI Smart Cap or an Alu cab shell. They can get up there in spending point based on the options that I covered, but on average they are cheaper. And then the other pro that sometimes it's just, it is what it is. They have older model applications. So if you came in with a 2011 Ford Ranger, I wouldn't be able to find you a steel cap for that typically, but I can get you a fiberglass shell because they keep the molds for older shells for, X amount of time. And so we do have older model applications. Now I'm gonna talk to you about the cons. All right, guys, so the cons with these guys, the biggest one that we're seeing right now, people complain about the lead time. On average, we quote 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes they can be as much as 3 months. So you order your shell, 3 months later it shows up. That can be frustrating because our customer spends, on average anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 on these shells. They want the end result relatively quickly. So that's the first gripe that we've heard. Second gripe I've heard with people that do overlanding is the rooftop weight capacity. So with these roof tracks that I pointed out earlier in the video, those are only rated for 200 pounds across the top. That creates issues because if somebody wants to put a rooftop tent across the top of their shell, well, just the framing for the tent, 70 pounds, then, you know, I don't know about you guys, but me climbing up there, we're over that 200 pound capacity. So yeah, so that's another gripe that we have. Another big gripe we have is if there's any major flaws in the manufacturing, they do that limited lifetime warranty, but their factory's in Ohio. So if you've got an issue with your shell, you're gonna have to come down to your local accessories dealer. We're gonna have to pull the top off. Then we have to wait for our next truck to come. Then we load it on the truck. And then it takes a nice long trip back to Ohio or wherever they're manufactured. And it'll be 3-4 weeks before you see your shell, sometimes longer. And that can be inconvenient. You bought a shell because you want to keep your truck water resistant. You want to keep your toys or your tools in the back of your truck without having to worry about somebody walking off with them. And that can be a bit of a problem. The only other issues that I think we have that we've seen are sometimes fiberglass can crack with enough stress. It's really a base by base application. What you want and what you get, you got to weigh the pros and the cons of a fiberglass shell versus a steel shell. If you have any questions, reach out to our team here at Vaca Valley Truck. We love to answer questions. We're very knowledgeable and we'll take care of you. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.